What's up, my friends? I've got my best bets for Sunday night and Monday night football in this video. Let's slap them together and let's go. I'm going to be using myspreadyedge.com to look up all the player odds, player markets, and then we're going to research their player cards, try to put together some parlays and picks. And let's start right here with Matthew Stafford. So right now on Sportsbooks, the best line you can get if you like the over is 242.5 on DraftKings minus 115 odds. Sliding all the way over here, and you can see on the pick'em apps, 245.5 on Prize Picks, 248.5 on Underdog, Sleeper, Better, Pick Six. They're all here. And I'm going to tell you why I like the over right now as my first pick of this video. We've got a nice 48.5 point total and a spread of just 2.5 points for the Rams, who are actually underdogs at home with the Eagles coming to town. I think we're going to have a very competitive game. The Eagles top 3 against the pass this season. So why do I like Matt Stafford over 242.5 passing yards on DK Sportsbook? Well, listen up. It has everything to do with Puka REC and Cooper Kupp being healthy. I went back to last season and I wanted to know, how did he finish the year when those two were both healthy? My guy threw for 258 passing yards in the final 6 games of 2023. In 2024, he has 5 games with them, both being fully healthy. And in those 5 games, 279 passing yards or more in all 5 games. You're looking at them right here, my friends. That makes it over 242.5 in 11 straight games with Puka REC and Cooper Kupp being healthy. What's even crazier, 10 of those 11 games were 279 yards or more. That's wild, my friends. 279 or more yards in 10 of those 11, and the one that was under 279 finished at 258. This 242.5, and I'm going to slide it down there right now, is just way too low. In fact, I think this is a very interesting play to ladder for your SGPs, or if you just want to alt it to 225 and just play it safer, by all means, do whatever makes you happy. And you know, it's funny, and you guys can do what you want with this information because I just want to present it to you and hopefully you make some money. He had actually hit the over in 10 of 11 for his longest completion, 9 of 11 for passing touchdowns prop this week as well. So those are interesting plays as well. If you're like, Mitch, I just don't think he's going to throw the ball down the field as much against this really tough pass defense of the Eagles. So that's play number 1. We've got a whole ton of players to look at today. We are going over all the important pieces of both games. And if you could do me a favor, just like this video really quick, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I've got 2 VIP links down below for $10 and $15 if you're really interested in seeing what my team and I can offer. Next up, let's look at Jalen Hurts. Now, last week, super frustrating. I was on the pass attempts, and he finished with 28. Hooked us when we had the 27.5 to the under. This week, I don't think I do the attempts, but I do think I look at the completions, and here's why. He's been under 18.5 pass completions in 7 straight games, and he just lost potentially his best and most secure and consistent wide receiver. And, you know, listen, I understand right now that A.J. Brown fans out there are saying, Mitch, what are you talking about? Devonta Smith not going to be playing on Sunday Night Football for this tough Eagles game on the road. They are favored by 2.5, but it is a tough Sunday Night Football game in LA. And I think this could be a really tricky spot to bet on if you're an Eagles fan. But losing a guy like Devonta Smith, I think, will hurt him in the completions department. You take a guy like that, an elite route runner, very good hands off the field, and while you still can remain explosive with A.J. Brown, maybe the play-to-play efficiency just dips a little bit. I also think they're going to run the football 25 times with Saquon Barkley this week. It's just that type of week. On the road, you're going to want to settle down, maybe the crowd, settle down your team for sure, and take the wind out of the LA fans' sails. So I'm taking under for Jalen Hurts, 18.5 pass attempts. It's been a phenomenal play, as you've seen 7 games in a row. I'm going to show you live what this looks like. So I'm going to go to pass completions. I'm going to type in Hurts, and it's going to pop up. And you can see if you like the under with me, actually, it's a pretty darn good spot over there on Prize Picks, being the best implied odds based on the payout fixed price structure over there. Just, you know, considering every single other sports book has higher odds. However, if you're on stateside or using the international books here like Penny, Bovada, and Bet Online, best odds you're going to get BetMGM minus 120. And I do really like that. So let's keep going. I think that's a really good start. We've got both quarterbacks talked about, and let's go ahead and put those 2 plays in there as official plays. And before I get ahead of myself, let me go ahead over to Underdog Fantasy and see what I can snag here for you all. I'm going to go 239.5, 0.9 0.98 multiplier. Rather than taking a bump 248.5 when the books are giving me 242, I'm going to take 0.98 multiplier at 239. Slide over to Jalen Hurts. We were just looking at him in the optimizer, and we saw his pass attempts and his pass completions were there. So there it is, the 18.5 for the pass completions, depending on what you want to do. Heck, I mean, if you're like, oh, Mitch, I'm worried he's going to hook me on 19. Well, I mean, then you could take the 19.5 if you really feel like doing that. So I'm going to go under. I'm going to take lower than 18.5 pass completions. And again, if you want to try these picks out on Underdog, you can use promo code DONUTS. $1,000 deposit cash bonus sitting there waiting for you. Just use my code. My link is also my link tree down below. All right, let's keep talking about it. Puka Nacua is back in action, looking good the last 2 weeks too, as he's played pretty much all the snaps he could handle finally, which has been nice to see. And boy, oh boy, has he delivered. We essentially have 3 fully healthy games this year with Puka. 106 yards, 98 yards, 123 yards. He's looked really good too, man. He looks a little bigger this year actually too. That's just a side note. I am interested a little bit in the receiving yards or the receptions. I don't entirely know what to do with it yet though. This isn't a lock and load type play for me, especially with how the Eagles have been. I don't know who's going to pop off. Now, before we move on, let's look at Cooper Kupp. So he has also been really, really good this season when we had a full game of Puka. So I've seen 80 yards. We've seen 106 yards. What we're seeing is a whole ton of snaps, playing virtually every single snap they can. Passing downs, he does not leave the field this year. It's been really nice to see him return to full health. And boy, oh boy, did he remind people how good he was. So the receptions looking good lately. Receiving yards looking great lately. The long reception been looking fantastic. So this one is actually an interesting one for me. The line is at 20.5 if you're interested in it. I think this could be a good play. I don't know which one of these wide receivers is going for $120 this week. I expect one of them to pop off, but I do feel like no matter what, maybe you're getting that long catch from Cooper Kupp because a guy like Puka Nacua is causing problems and making the defense focus on him a bit more. And then Cooper Kupp busts loose, get that 25-yard catch for us. So put that on your short list. Not an official, not like I had my officials for Jalen Hurts and Matthew Stafford, but it's absolutely on my short list this week. So let's move on. Saquon Barkley, we can't leave him out of the picture. We also need to talk about Kyron Williams and A.J. Brown coming up. Rushing yards for Saquon, always in play. This guy is a menace for opposing defenses. I think laddering him, I mentioned this last week. I said, this is a Saquon week, and I said take 1-2+ touchdowns, 125, 150+ rushing yards. And if you did it, which I had a few people tag me on Twitter at DFS and Donuts and say, hey, I laddered him 2+ touchdowns last week, had himself a day, 4 yards short of the $150 ladder. I did see some people cash out at $125 and 2+ touchdown parlay ladder together, which is pretty cool to see. So any given week he suits up, he's ready for 2+. And we've seen it once. We've seen it twice. We've seen it 3. We've seen it 4 times this season in his games. He either scores or he goes bonkers. Or does not score or goes bonkers. I kid you not. He's had so many games where he's had 0 touchdowns, 5 of them. And then in the other 5 games where he has scored, 4 of them, he scored 2 or 3. So the upside is there for him to just go absolutely nuclear on any given week. You can see the rushing touchdowns right there. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's so many. It's so many. Oh, I just can't get over it. It's so weird, right? Like he scored 5 games, but in 4 of them, he had 2+. Okay, whatever. So if you like him for a tutty, you might as well like him for 2. Rush attempt prop. And this is kind of why I was talking about the rushing yards. The attempt line is at 20.5 this week. You can see it on the slider down here. 20.5 rush attempts. If we're getting that many potential attempts from Saquon, I expect him to get the higher or over, whatever you want to call it, depending on your platform. Now, if he gets 20+, 21, 22, 19, 18, somewhere around there, even with the rush attempts, I want him for one of these types of plays. The longest rush over 16.5 rushing yards. So I don't have an official for Saquon, but this is absolutely on my short list. I am very interested in Saquon Barkley for the longest rush. This is the type of prop I like to play when I don't know what I think about the overall rushing yards. Maybe LA sells out to stop the run this week, and they really force Jalen Hurts to try to beat them through the air, at which point I don't think it works. So can you stop him if you even try? I don't know yet. I don't think we've seen a team effectively do it. So yeah, rushing yards 100 plus, 125, 150 plus, always in play. Touchdowns 1 plus, 2 plus, always in play. But truly, I think maybe the value this week is in the longest rush. You get pretty good odds at this play at 16.5 as well. On the other sideline, we've got Kyren Williams at home. You know, the Rammies need a W here in front of home, LA faithful, and the Eagles on the road here, just losing to the Commanders. And it's a big game. This is an interesting game for them. It's an interesting spot. And I think just like the Eagles will go out there and try to take the wind out of the LA fans' sails with the running game, I think they try to set up the pass with Kyren Williams, despite it being efficient at times, but mostly inefficient. If you watch the Rams games, you will often see Kyren 10 carries, 27 yards. He'll bust one, or he'll have like 5 or 6 carries on a drive for like 8, 9 yards each. I kid you not, this happens almost every game. Or he'll start off, it'll be like, 6 carries for 47 yards, and then he finishes 18 for 62. It's been happening left and right this year. So do they get back to this where they were really motoring along and running the ball effectively? Maybe. It's going to be an interesting opportunity for him tonight, depending on when you're watching this video. Kyren's longest rush is at 14.5, receiving yards 13.5. His rush attempts at 17.5. Combined yards, if you like that, for Kyren's at 91.5. Kyren's rush attempt at 17.5 looks pretty good in the player card. I will say that. And interesting, if you like the rush and receiving combined, is hit the over 5 times this season. I'm not on Kyren Williams this week. It's just Matthew Stafford or bust for me. All right, let's look at A.J. Brown. We've got some interesting plays. I'm gonna highlight this one real quick. First touchdown score plus 900. A.J. Brown on primetime lights. You guys have heard me talk about him before. Always an interesting sprinkle for the first touchdown. This dude shows up and shows out on those primetime games, I tell you. So I'm interested in this one. There's another player I like a lot for primetime for the Monday Night Football game coming up next as well. The anytime touchdown plus 135 on FanDuel, I guess, would be in play, but I'm more interested in that first touchdown at plus 900. 6.5 receptions is his line this week. The lean is to the under. Long reception 29.5. Actually, a little interesting to me. You can get the over there on DK at minus 115. Receiving yards 89.5 ESPN bet. So let's go look at his player card. Let's check out what types of trends we have. Crazy, right? A.J. Brown, receptions prop at 6.5. It's been under in all 7 games this season. However, you have to remember, there is no Devonta Smith. Now, we've had games like that in the past with no Devonta Smith, and I'm going to tell you how they went right now. Now, I had to go back a few years for this data, and I couldn't get this on my website. I don't track last year's stats just yet. Next year, we'll have them. And I don't know how entirely relevant this is, but he's had 4 games over 100 yards, and virtually every other game was under 50. It's just, who knows what you're going to get here. And in those 4 games with 100 plus, he had 7 plus catches, and every single other game it was 5 or fewer. So this is going to be a volatile market. Currently, I'm leaning under 6.5 receptions. I think that one is a pretty darn good play this week. It's on my very short list, along with the Saquon Barkley longest rush. All right, we're not done. We've got to go over to the Monday Night Football game. And before we slide over to Monday night, do me a huge favor right now. Like the video for me. That's all I need from you. Just like the video and tell me you're happy to be here down in the comments section. Or if you like this brand new version of my primetime Sunday night and Monday night where I merged the 2 shows together, that would be incredibly helpful. Let me know if this concept is cool. It's fun. It's easier for me, business-wise, recording, time-wise, to be able to just merge it and then move on and make my college football picks, my NBA picks, my NFL picks for my members. And this was going to save me time so I can focus on the premium a bit. So hopefully you like it, but I want to know, do you like those videos being split, or are you cool with them both being pushed in the same and just fast forwarding and jumping around based on what you need? All right, we've got a lot of players here to cover for the Monday Night Football game. Ravens and Chargers. We have a 50.5 point total. Ravens 3-point favorites on the road for this one. Could be very exciting out there in LA. Shocking, huh? Pretty cool for the Los Angeles people getting back-to-back primetime games Sunday night and Monday night. I don't know if this is a new thing the first time or what, but this is pretty cool. So Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, and in Los Angeles, going to be nutty. First up, let's talk Lamar Jackson. Putting up potential MVP numbers this season. I think it's a 2-horse race right now between him and my guy, Josh Allen. Pass completions market, you can see essentially he's just been chucking the ball down the field. Does not throw the ball a ton, does not complete a ton of passes, but he's incredibly efficient with what he does throw. And that's because of the longest pass market. And I think this play is in play every single time Lamar Jackson suits up for the week. Truly, I really like this, but I'm going to be real with you. You're going to be like, Mitch, what are you talking about? Why are you on this play? It's going to be the rushing yards or the longest rush, which I don't have the market in here on my player cards, but I will get to it at some point. 42.5 rushing yards from Lamar Jackson. This man has averaged over 60 yards rushing on the road this year, over 55 last 2 seasons on the road. He's always had better splits on the road, just like we've seen Josh Allen on the road. This is what good running quarterbacks do in big situations, in big games, in tight games, on the road games, where the game gets put on their shoulders and on their legs to sustain drives. 3rd and 7, they run it for 15. And Lamar Jackson, longest rush, has been cashing in all 6 games this year on the road. His rushing yards in prime time the last 2 seasons is hit in all but 2 primetime games. Go back a few more seasons, and we're talking like 75% hit rate for rushing yards at whatever prop he's got, 39.5, 42.5. The dude just keeps hitting the over. It's a pretty cool stat. So I like Lamar Jackson 42.5 to the over on Monday Night Football. So give me over 42.5 as an official play for Lamar Jackson, despite the fact that he's been running a lot less lately. Regression to the mean. Lamar Jackson is not a 4, 7, and 3 rushing attempt type quarterback. He's going to live somewhere in between the 8 to 16 range on any given game, and I think we see it this week. Okay, so let's talk about Justin Herbert. So his passing yards line is quite high, 255.5, despite the fact the first 5 games of the year horrendous, 179 or fewer. Less than 180 yards in the first 4 games. However, they definitely picked it up. You've seen 349, 279, 282, 297. And, the pass attempts, I'm going to be real with you, crazy. Literally all over the place. We've got games where he's got 39, 32, down to 27, down to 18, 36 last game, inefficient, 17 for 36. Somehow 2 tutties and no picks. And that's an interesting play right there in and of itself. The Ravens are giving up a ton of yards per game, 304 passing yards per game to be exact. That's the worst in the NFL. Russell Wilson did not hit the over last week for the passing yards. It was the first time in 6 weeks a starting quarterback did not hit the over. And now 9 of 11 quarterbacks on the season hit the over for their passing yards. So I think Justin Herbert needs to be on your short list here for passing yards and over. And for the interception prop, interestingly enough, well, he's thrown 1 pick this year. It's absolutely absurd. Somehow on the season, he has 13 touchdowns and only 1 interception, despite some very inefficient football at times. So I think we need to go look at what his player odds are for this game, because that is a very interesting play. So I'm going to type in Justin Herbert, and I'm going to bring up his interception market. And listen, it's a little juiced. It really is. Minus 140, minus 145. I am slightly interested in that interception. However, I don't know if it's there, but let's see if it's on Underdog. I'm going to bring this one up for Justin Herbert. And if they have the interception play, yes, they do. And lower is actually okay. You're getting a nice, okay. If you see this video early enough, you're going to be probably one of the few people that gets this. This should be the opposite. The lower needs to be probably like a 0.87, 0.88 based on the minus 140. Usually those minus 140s or so, you're going to get a reduced multiplier. So the fact this is opposite, the lower at 1.08 is essentially like having a plus 110, plus 120 on a sports book. So this is a little goof, and we're going to take advantage of it. I like that lower over there on Underdog. Let's just play it there. And the other one we wanted, let's go quarterbacks. It's always fun to bet on these quarterbacks for these primetime games. And I'm going to go to his rushing yards. And hey, maybe this is one of those lines we alt it. Let's go 39.5. There we go. 40 plus rushing yards. Let's plug it in there. And what's fun here is we've got all 4 quarterbacks. We've got Stafford, Jalen, Herbert, and Lamar. Are there other players we can plop in there? Absolutely. We're probably going to here in a minute, but I like the way to start this. This is a fun looking slip over there in Underdog. All right, let's add another one. Play 5. Going to be Derrick Henry. It's not going to be rushing yards. It's going to be a rushing touchdown. My friends, don't even overthink this one. He has had a rushing touchdown in all but 1 game this year, 10 of 11. And in the one he didn't have a rushing touchdown, he had a receiving touchdown. So let's just type in Derrick Henry. We don't even need to look at his stats for this. You just know. So plugging him in. Moving on. Literally, that's it. You don't need to look at anything, in my opinion, and I'm not going to waste our time. Next up, J.K. Dobbins, rushing yards. 49's a low-looking line, isn't it? Looks like it's a lock and load. However, the Ravens given up the second lowest rushing yards on the season. I believe the, third lowest or least rushing attempts going to last week. I think they gave up a bunch, though, last week. Absolutely wild. Only allowing 61 yards rushing per game. Sheesh. Tough spot for JK. I don't know if I can bet on him at all in any market. I'm just going to be real, especially when we just get these games. It's like, he needs 50 plus on 11, 15, 14, 17, 14 carries. Like, you're not getting a 20 touch back. So we've also seen Gus Edwards, 6, 10, 6. He's getting some carries. He's back. He's had 10 and 6 carries the last 2 weeks. And in fact, the first quarter of the game, he had, I think, 5 carries in the first quarter to J.K. Dobbins, just 1. And everyone's like, bets are cooked for J.K. So I don't know if I can go there. I don't want to bet on him at all. If you bet on anything, it's probably just going to be the rushing touchdown market, for which he has scored in 3 of the last 4 games and clearly is the red zone option. Moving on, Deontay Johnson. Look at this. I mean, just irrelevant right now. Irrelevant. So I'm off him. I don't even want to look at him. Rashad Bateman, not a guy I can bet on. Justice Hill, not a guy I can bet on. I do like his receiving yards every once in a while. Ladd McConkey, listen, somebody's got to catch the ball for Herbert to get down the field. Maybe Ladd is the guy. The problem is you just don't get that target volume you usually want. I think if you pick one, it's maybe the longest reception market this week. So the over 23.5 longest reception for Ladd McConkey's potentially in play. Not for me, though. I'm going to click it right off the screen. Will Dissly, am I targeting a tight end here who's had 6 and 6 targets the last 2 weeks against the Ravens? Yeah, giving up 302 yards passing per week. Woo! One of the worst pass defenses in NFL history. I must be betting on Dissly, right? No, I don't care. You can. I'm moving on. I only wanted the Justin Herbert angle, and then I'm going to let the chips fall as they may from there. I don't know who's catching the football out there for LAC. Somebody's going to get, it might just be they all get, 60, 50 yards each. No one really pops off, and everybody hits, right around what their actual yardage mark is, their prop line is. But Justin Herbert still cashes for us. It could be a game like that where no one explodes and really gets them over, but everybody just does pretty well. Mark Andrews receiving yards. Good luck figuring out who's getting the football between Mark Andrews and whereas Isaiah Likely. I found his card. He's kind of come alive the last several weeks, getting 4, 4, and 5 targets. But he has these games in here where he gets 1, 3, 2, 1, 3. And when he has that, you're in trouble. So Isaiah Likely, can I bet on him? No, I can't. Quentin Johnson, boomer bust in a nutshell. But what we are seeing is, man, does he get looked at in the red zone. So he's had a touchdown in 3 straight games. Matter of fact, on this season, we have 8 games, and he scored in 5 of them. So I think Quentin Johnson for a touchdown could be a very interesting play, my friends. I really do. I think that could be a very interesting play if you want to look at it for very nice plus money this week. Now, you're not going to get upside. You're not going to get the implied probability that you get for Derrick Henry, but that's going to be baked in the odds, which is last week we got him at plus 250, I believe, when I called him out, and he scored again. So is he going to be that right now? I don't know. I haven't looked at it, and this video is running very long. I've been recording for almost 40 minutes, and I have a lot of editing to do, so I'm skipping through it. Quentin Johnson, short list to score a touchdown, though. Joshua Palmer, talked about him last week, said I didn't like being on his plays. Longest reception was the only one I was interested in. Same thing this week. He just doesn't get the target volume. The snaps are there, 51, 35, 35, 51, but the target volume is not. So if you take one or any Palmer props, probably be long reception for me. Last but not least, Zay Flowers bouncing a football off his chest. He's had the drops the last few weeks. He dropped the bomb against Pittsburgh. That was a bad one. That was in a huge moment too. So I don't know what you want to do with Zay Flowers out there, but the bounce back games, they happen, my friends. Do you want to take it on the longest reception? That might be the market to take it on. There's the touchdowns. He scored 2. He scored 1 last week. For the long receptions market, any given week, he's being looked at 50 yards down the field. So potentially Zay Flowers to catch a long reception in play, receiving yards in play. I don't need them, though, because on Underdog, we already have 5 picks. Now, be looking for any of these. Sometimes you get these boosts for Sunday Night Football. Go ahead and see if you can find one and apply it if you'd like it. But those are 5 picks I like for the game. I'll actually be playing them all on sportsbooks here on Underdog. I'll slap these 5 in a pick flex 5 right here just for some funsies and be able to sweat it out. Now, If you like today's video where I slammed in Sunday and Monday night into one long video, analyzed every single player prop, and now I'm going to take 3 hours to edit this bad boy down to about 15 minutes. Do me a huge favor and just like the video. Oh my gosh, it's a 4 or 5 hour effort of research, recording, editing, publishing, and then setting up the marketing for a few days. I could use some love here on the likes and in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching. Again, down below in the description section, you'll see 2 links. They're both discounts. They're both for you. You're on YouTube, and you get access to all the premium things that I do and a team of 8 to 10 other cappers do for you as well. So grab those links down below. I appreciate y'all, and I'll see you Sunday morning for the live show, 9 a.m. Eastern, and Monday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern on YouTube as well. Take care, my friends. Let's get paid.